What are my best fidget knives? To be clear, I'm not really a fidgeter, but certain things I definitely do fidget with, and those things need to be great. Let's talk about why. The most common fidget spot is generally in the car, but for me, that's not really an option. Unfortunately speaking, I'm just too goddamn big. So when I do fidget, it's generally speaking on the couch. And there are certain knives that have action so good, so noteworthy that I just can't help but basically play with them. But again, there's not too many of those. So here is my top knives. To be clear, there are 7 knives on the table right now that for whatever reason, I can't stop playing with. This is going to be in a numerical order. So, you know, if your top one isn't on this list or it's at the very, very top, don't go ape shit. Or if you do, leave a comment so I can laugh about it. First things first, to piss off almost everybody, the Spyderco Pm3 is a great fidget knife. It's too damn small for my hands as far as actual use. I literally have to use the choil like this, and it's still not the best in hand. It's not bad at all, but it's, you know, not great. But as far as just the actual fidget action, the deployment is fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of the compression lock, to be completely honest with you guys, but the actual action of deployment is fantastic and is definitely fidgety, I guess, if you want to call it that. Secondly is this modded out Benchmade Freak or Super Freak. To be very clear, you could by all means call it whatever you want to. You can get the regular Freak, the standard Freak, the whatever the fuck Freak. It doesn't matter, just be freaky. And it all has pretty similar action. Now, I just like the idea of being able to flick it out and then this axis lock right here, grab it with one finger and then flip it down. I know it's probably going to break the axis lock eventually, but I've had this knife for like 3 or 4 years now, 2 or 3 years now, something like that, a while. And it hasn't broken yet, and I do this all the damn time. So if I have to fidget with a knife, this is a pretty good one to fidget with. Perfect? Absolutely not, but definitely fun. The Benchmade Super Freak, pretty damn cool knife. Definitely fidgety. Bam. This is a two-sun knife. I actually don't know what model it is, so I'll throw that up on the screen right now. But off the top of my head, just a two-sun knife. And I'm not really into front flippers, to be honest. It's just not my thing. But this is a freaking great front flipper that I can deploy reliably, that feels good. When I first got this knife, I think I dropped it on my freaking floor like 5 or 6 times, barely missing my damn toes. The coordination is not there for a long time. It is there now. Am I perfect at it? Am I great at it? No, but it does deploy reliably. And for the price tag of what this is, I think I paid about $120 for this. Being M390 steel, carbon fiber, titanium, everything else. And just a really good action. I like it quite a bit. It's so far back on the list because you only really have this front flipper thing, which is done very well. But there are also fullers here, which you can technically open with it, but it just doesn't feel good at all. You can get it open, but it just feels really kind of janky. And you can also back clip it, but you have to do a whole bunch of wrists with it. It just does not feel quite right. But just being a front flipper, fantastic, pretty budget price. I really enjoy it, even though I'm an idiot. Next up is the Ckf Evo 2.0. Now, I actually have had the larger version of it. It's one of the few larger knives I don't really like. The ergonomics just aren't quite right for me. The Evo is a little better, still too small, but overall very, very good. To me, the actual deployment isn't that good, but the actual retraction or drop shut or disengagement, I guess you can call it, is fantastic. It just drops like an absolute guillotine. And I basically play chicken with this knife. I'll hold my finger there just a little bit too long. Let's see if I can move it out in time. Fail. Ow. I said fail. And in exchange, it fucking stabbed me. God damn it. I'm bleeding a little bit. Whatever. But I like to play chicken with this knife, man. It's actually pretty damn fun. Again, the action for me, as far as the disengagement, is not the best. It's not bad at all. I mean, you can roll it out fine. You can flick it out fine. But there are better things out there. But the retraction, man, the way it goes back in this handle, that's ridiculous. The Ckf Evo 2.0, definitely a fidget knife, and most people out there just use it to fidget with, so, yeah. All right, now we have the ProTech Magic Whiskers 1 in a rose gold finish. That this is a smaller knife, man, but it's one that, for whatever reason, like I really, really love the action on this thing. Most autos in general are kind of fun, but this like hidden switch thing, just the way you have to deploy it, where you just have this whole grip thing right here and then just pop it out, it just feels so good. And because it is a smaller knife, it's very, very easy to just retract back in. You can do it one-handed all day long, not a problem at all. It's also a damn beautiful knife. It's kind of my dress knife. And it's just a really good knife, man. And again, it is also very, very fidgety. Probably one of my favorite fidget knives, to be honest with you, but not quite my favorite. But this is one that definitely I find myself flicking over and over and over again. My girl's like, baby, stop it. Like, don't do that. Great knife. Hard to find, but great knife. All right, now here's a one that most people would not consider a fidget knife, but I'm not really your standard fidgeter, and I freaking love opening and closing this knife. If I had a go-to fidget knife, it probably would be this one, because I do this all the time and don't even realize it. It's not number one on the list, to be clear. I think one just feels better to fidget with, but this thing, it's ridiculous. This is the Steel Will Knives Gecko, and it's a backlock, right? So it's not normally a very fidgety thing, but for me, just literally flicking it out like that, or rolling it out, flicking it out, whatever, and then dropping the backlock, and then it just drops back down like that. It's a very textile movement, man. It's very, you know, really have to hands-on baby it. And for me, that's almost what a fidget knife should be, because it's this thing that you have to interact with constantly. You don't just press a button and it drops shut or open and closes or whatever. It's like this very, again, tactile in-hand feel that I personally really like. And I'm just going to ramble right now because I'm doing this now and I'm just stuck on this knife. So edit. All right, no joke, on the Steel Will Knives Gecko, I probably spent the last 20 minutes fidgeting with that damn knife, but the video must go on, and I just cut a whole bunch of time out. But the number one fidget knife, for those who've been watching the channel for a while, this is no surprise at all. It is the Demco Knives, in particular the custom Demco Knives 8015. People love the 8020, and that's fantastic, man. I think I'm the only person I've ever met that does not like that knife, but I don't like that knife. And the 8015 to me is the reason why. The 8020 is good, but to me, man, the 8015 is freaking perfection. I've had this knife for years. I've beaten on it. I have videos of me throwing this at walls, at windows, hammered it into stuff. I literally hammered a nail into a board on a video before. I've grinded out the edge. I've beaten the absolute hell out of this knife, and it still works. It comes back for more constantly, and the action is just freaking fantastic. Similar to the Gecko, it has a very textile feel. You very much have to lift up this thing for it to drop out, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's one of those knives that for me was kind of hard at first, and I kind of hated this knife, right? But the more I carried it, the more I used it, the more there's just nothing like this out there. And everybody says the cold steel version, right? It's the same. It's the same knife. No, it is really genuinely not. The customs are incredibly smooth. The cold steel ones are good, man. They're not bad knives at all, but the Demcos, man, they're customs for a reason. The man is innovative for a reason, and he really and genuinely takes the time to QC these things absolutely perfectly. And the three that I've owned, and this one that I've had for years and years, and I just still absolutely love. This knife is still, after like 3 years now, 4 years now, a 10 out of 10 perfect knife in every goddamn way. Is just absolute butter. You can flick it out, to be very, very clear. I don't. I slow roll it up, drop that down, and then whip it back. This is how I fidget. Is it the most ideal thing for most people? Probably not, but you can Spidey flick it. You can thumb flick it if you want to. These to me don't feel quite as good, but you can definitely do them. But yeah, for me, it's that slow roll and then that drop down that I just absolutely love. So that's my list, but in the comment section, I want to know what yours is. As always, folks, I love you all. Please take care, and bye-bye.